Hi Form 1, I just wanted to put together a quick video to explain what I'd like you to do today. Before I do that, I just want to give you a quick reminder that if you haven't already done so, please submit a photo of your design a circuit task from the top of page 5 from Tuesday's work to the assignment on Teams. So please do that today if you haven't already done so. I will have a check of those and we'll discuss them on Monday. So we have been looking at electrical circuits, and today we're going to look at electric current. And current tells us how fast the electricity flows around a circuit. It's measured in a unit called amps. So in the same way that length is measured in meters or centimeters or millimeters or inches or miles, current is measured in a unit called amps. You may want to highlight that in your notes, and this is page 7 of your electricity booklet. And we can measure the current in a circuit with a piece of apparatus called an ammeter. And the symbol, the circuit symbol for an ammeter is just a line which represents the wires, then a circle with an A in it standing for ammeter, and then a wire, and that's connected up in the circuit. And an ammeter is always connected in series in a circuit, and it measures the current flowing around a circuit. The higher the value of current, in other words, the larger the number of amps flowing around our circuit, the larger the current. And most ammeters will have 2 scales, particularly what we call analog ammeters, not digital ones. They will have 2 scales. And you're about to watch a video by Miss Wallace to explain how to use an ammeter and the 2 scales on the ammeter. Make sure you're listening to the video carefully, because after that I'd like you to have a practice at doing some readings of ammeters using the different scales on the worksheet that you can see pictured on the slide now. You'll either find this in your booklet if you picked up your booklet from school, or you can download it from Teams, and I'll explain that after the video. But for now, listen carefully to Miss Wallace and her explanation of how to read these scales, and I'll explain the worksheet afterwards.
Hi girls, this should help you with page 7, where we start to look at electric current. So as it says on page 7, the current tells us how fast the electricity flows around a circuit. Up to now we've been talking about electricity flowing around the circuit, but really what we mean is current flows around the circuit. And current is measured in units called amps. We give it a capital A for short. It's measured using a thing called an ammeter, and that's what this is. This is an ammeter. You can see the electrical symbol for the ammeter there in your notes, the circle with the A in it. And you'll see from looking at this ammeter, girls, that there are 2 scales. There's a top scale and there's a bottom scale. Now the top scale goes from 0 to 1 and the bottom scale goes from 0 to 5. Now let's have a look at how you connect your ammeter into your circuit. So here I have a battery. When you're connecting in your ammeter, girls, you always connect this black side into the negative of the battery. So I put my connecting wire in there like so, and I'd be connecting that into the negative terminal of the battery. So negative to negative. Then on the other side, you've got a choice. You either connect in this side of your ammeter, which is for the 5 amp scale, or you connect in this side, which is the 1 amp. So you only connect one of those in. Normally you start with the larger, the 5 amp, and that's red, that's the positive end of your ammeter, and that would go to the positive end of the battery. Now I'm not going to connect this fully into the battery because in fact, because we've nothing else in the circuit, it would actually damage the ammeter. So we'll just pretend that those are connected in. So negative to the negative, the positive to the positive. Now if you've got very little current flowing through your circuit, maybe it's much less than 5 amps, in fact it's even less than 1 amp, then you would use that connection so that you're reading then off the 1 amp scale. So if it's connected here, if you look closely at your ammeter, that shows you the 5 amps. So you're reading off the bottom scale, 0 to 5 amps. If you have it connected in here for a smaller current, you can see that's telling you that that's connected to the 1 amp. So it's 0 to 1 amps, the top scale. Now guys, if you look closely at the scales, you'll see that the numbers are marked on in the divisions. The top scale going 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 up to 1, and the bottom scale going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in between the numbers you can see that we've got smaller divisions. And what I want you to do is to take a moment by pausing the video to see if you can work out what each small division is worth on the top and what each small division is worth on the bottom. So pause the video now. Okay girls, I hope you had a go at that, and I'm going to reveal the answers to you. So on the top scale, each small division is worth 0.02 amps, and on the bottom scale, each small division is worth 0.1 amps. Let's look at that more closely. We'll start with the bottom scale. I think it's the easier one. So on the bottom, you'll see we've got the 0 marker just here and the 1 there. So in between this marker just here, that is 0.5. So in between 0 and 0.5, we've got 5 sections. So each little marker must be worth 0.1. So we go 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Then on the top scale, we've got the 0 just here, and we've got 0.2 marked just here. Halfway in between those two then, we've got this marker, which must be 0.1. And then we've got 5 sections between 0 and 0.1, so each section must be worth 0.02. So it goes 0, 0.02, 0.04, 0.06, 0.08, 0.1. And that's the ammeter, girls.
So I hope you found that video helpful, and it's now over to you. So what I'd like you to do is to complete the ammeter reading worksheet that you can see pictured on the screen now. As I said, if you picked up your booklet from school, you should find this worksheet just after page 7, so it should be there, and you can just write down your answers on the booklet. But if you downloaded the copy that was in the files section of Teams, and if you printed it out at home, this worksheet is not in that booklet, but instead I have uploaded it to this week's folder on Teams, and so you can get it from there. So either it'll be in your booklet, or if it's not, it's in this week's folder on Teams. You can either print it off if you can, that would be most helpful, or if you cannot print it from home, then just look at it on files in Teams and then complete it on a file page. Please make sure you have this finished before Monday's live lesson, because we will go through this worksheet to check that you were okay with it, and go over it, mark it, and answer any questions on it. So let me just take you really quickly through the first 2 examples. If you'd like to give them a go yourself first, you can pause the video and then play it again when you've tried these, just to check that you are correct. But let me explain those just in case you're not sure what you're doing. But this should have been explained by the video that you watched. So what you need to be careful about is where the leads are connected. So you can see here in the first ammeter that the leads or the wires have been connected at the 5 amp side, so the 5 amp connection point. Remember that negative side that I've just highlighted, that always goes to the negative end of the battery. So we can tell here from where my leads have been connected that I'm using the 5 amp scale, which is the bottom scale. Or you could refer to that as the larger scale, and you may want to write that down on your worksheet. So I'm looking at the bottom scale, not the top scale, and you can see my arrow is pointing to exactly halfway between 1 and 2. Each of these markings will be 0.1, so that's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and so this reading is at 1.5 amps. So remember 1.5, and then you always have a capital A at the end, and that stands for amps. So that's the shorthand way of writing amps, just a bit like you write cm for centimetres. Let's have a look quickly at the second one, and then you can try yourself. Again, always check where it's connected first of all. So here we've got it connected to the 1 amp scale, and again the minus will just be to the minus end of the battery. So this time we're using the smaller scale, or you can see it as the top scale. So if we look very carefully here, if we look where our arrow's pointing is here, and that's halfway in between 0.4 and 0.6, and so that's going to be 0.5 amps. So think carefully about your scale and what your little divisions will be and what they will equal, and see if you can write down the readings on each of those meters. Try your best to do that. Just get it completed now if you can, but make sure it's completed before Monday's live lesson at the latest so that we can mark this. Let me know if you have any questions.